Yo, what's happening? How are you doing? Um, just give me a second. Can you, Matthew, won't you just let me know if the audio is clear as well as the charts? I've been struggling to set this stream setup up for some strange reason. There you go. Seems to be. All right, sweet. That looks good then. Um, so what I did was I went and bought. I don't know why I didn't do this sooner, but the charts and that should be a lot clearer now because I went and bought a USB-C to display port cable. So like I'm now getting the true 4K out of this monitor. It's absolutely unbelievable. But nonetheless, so yeah, I guess let's kind of see what we could have. I think it's been a very challenging week this week, to say the least. I don't know how you are all feeling about it, but I think we've had like one day of decent movement, which has been on gold, and that was on Tuesday. But looking at the rest, if we move over to like GJ and we move over to GU, it's just been EJ, like it's been an absolute nightmare. EJ, we've kind of been consolidating the entire week. There's been no momentum, no flow, absolutely nothing. Going to GU, we had impulsive buying that came through on Monday, but for me personally, that wasn't something that I was looking at trading because it's counter trend and I don't counter trend trade. And then the rest of the week, we've kind of just been sitting in this consolidation range. Then over to GJ, pretty much exactly the same. Monday, we had that erratic buying that came through, and the rest of the week, we've kind of just been sitting. And then gold, again, consolidation after quite an insane push last week. And then we had some decent sells that came in on Tuesday. But apart from that, we've kind of just been, again, sitting, consolidating. So, I am being tested 100%, as I'm sure many of you are too. But I guess this is the beauty of trading, the side that no one really speaks about, right? I see in the comments, the patience is killing. Yeah, it definitely is. Don't worry, I am being tested as well. I really, really am. Is anybody going to, while we sit waiting for more to join, is anybody going to FMIS? Will I be seeing anybody at FMIS? The literal blues, yeah. Failed the tests. Failed the tests. Why? Have you been chasing trades? Oh, that's sick. I'll obviously be at FMIS as well, both days. So we'll be sick to kind of, meet and have a chat with those that are there, that will be there. Yeah, it's in the week. I think it's next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's the 26th and 27th. And I know that I think there's a bit of like an echo on this mic, which I'll sort out in the next like couple days, week or so. I just need to start filling this office with a bit more things, because it's like quite empty and minimalistic. So I think that's obviously the problem. And the mic's like this condenser mic's pretty high quality, so it picks up all of that stuff. Yeah, so is anybody looking at anything in particular? I think, if let's start having a look, or let's look at indices, right? We might need to we might need to adapt here. I think if we go to NAS, we are bullish 100%. I think the only issue that I would have in terms of looking at potential buys would be the fact that we'd be buying into resistance, which would be there. Let me just change the color of this. Kind of just do that over there. 20 seems good, yeah. All right. So yeah, we'll kind of be buying straight into that resistance level. But if we go to the 4 hour quickly, yeah. So again, I mean, you kind of need to wait for the break of this zone before we could look at anything, because we cannot be buying straight into a resistance where price is obviously rejecting. It just doesn't work like that. So, and selling, we cannot sell because that would be counter trend trading, right? We got bullish momentum, so there's no ways we should be looking to sell that. If we go to the US 30 quickly, let's have a look at this. Just to quickly get to Jordan's message over there. Just impatience got the better of me, and what it's taught me is that I don't have a solid approach. There are holes in my plan. So taking a break from executing and going back to the drawing board, yeah, it's not a bad thing. At least you can acknowledge that and take accountability. Going over to, so just quickly back at US 30, that's obviously a huge level where it's a simple kind of break, retest to continue. Just give me a second. So, break, retest, continue. So now it just comes down to looking at, potential lower time frame confirmation here on the 4 hour, kind of insignificant really. Go to the hourly, also, not the greatest. Price has unfortunately moved now. Like there's no opportunity to get involved here at the moment. If anything, you'd kind of have to wait on the 4 hour candle to close, get that retest to continue. But yeah, it's been very interesting, to be fair. If we have a look at gold, moving to the daily quickly. Technically, we're still bearish. We have that higher time frame bearish momentum, and this is a key area that price managed to break. So, in line with the analysis that was shared at the beginning of the week, it's a thing of a simple break, retest to continue. And the daily candle on Tuesday kind of, serves as that, let's say, higher time frame confirmation, if you will. I have not sold based on this, but that's kind of the idea. I will not, although we have rejected and we've got back above this area, I will not be looking for buys at the moment. Number one. Number two, it is Friday, it's the end of the week. And I think if we are to zoom in here quickly, the only time I will start looking for potential buys would be, if price is able to break above this region here, which would still be fairly aggressive. If the current daily candle is to flip bullish to maybe close strong bullish engulf at the end of today, then maybe next week we could see the daily of Monday open pullback to retest and then continue, so that we could possibly see a corrective move come in with that hard sell-off that we had. But so, I'm not looking at buys for today. Price is consolidating, and it's pretty straightforward and clear that we are struggling, and we have been struggling for most part of the week. So again, with higher time frame analysis, directional bias is still bearish at this point until structures taken out, bearish structures taken out. Moving to the hourly quickly, this looks absolutely horrendous. If price is take that out there quick, if price is able to kind of break this region, sort of get below this region here, then sells could very, very well surface in terms of break, retest, to continue at least into equal lows over there, right? So that's fairly straightforward, and that's kind of what we need to wait for. Does that make sense? It should do. Might be a bit of a stretch, but for GJ, if price, could we look at buys into the wick high? Matthew, I think I know exactly what you are saying. If we go to the daily quickly, yes, we are bullish. We've had a lot of rejection to the downside over here. And we've got a series of bullish candles here. So, there's no real kind of indication that price is rejecting the upside to then, carry short. So yes, buys are on the table with the confluence of the current daily. The only reservation I do have is, again, we do have a key area that sits over there. So if we move to the 4 hour quickly, I do see what you're saying in terms of, we've got this consolidation, that would be the refined zone. So if price is able to kind of, break, of which we have done now, break and hold above this level, and the 4 hour candle is to close as is, I'm assuming that you'd be looking at that potential play over there, right? So that would be the move for the new 4 hour candle to open, pull back, and continue. I think it is valid, yes, but I personally, sitting here, will not be entertaining that. I personally will not be trading that, even if the current 4 hour candle does close strong, bullish engulf. And the reason being is because, it's just, we've got a lot of consolidation. It is Friday and price has been struggling most part of the week. So it's the probability isn't as high as what I would like it to be for me to put risk on the table. And again, we don't have the biggest range into this resistance, because going back to the daily, you'll see we need to incorporate that entire wick region as resistance, right? So, I hope that answers your question. But for me personally, it's just like, I see exactly what you're saying, but for me, it's just not a highly probable play. And for me, it wouldn't be worth putting risk on the table for something like that. Very conservative, but again, it is Friday. It's been quite a bizarre week, I'm not gonna lie. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. And then, GU is just, I don't really know what GU is doing, but again, I personally won't be trading this because we're still stuck in consolidation. Price needs to get out of this range before I will entertain anything. Because looking at buys, you're buying into a rejection zone. Looking at sells, you're selling into support. We need to get out of this range before we can look at any potential play. And there's no other there's nothing else to speak about there. EJ, pretty much the exact same thing. I'm not even gonna waste my time with this. Really, I'm not even gonna waste my time. So effectively, it's kind of like gold at the moment. It's pretty much gold that we're left with. I hear you. The weekly candle was looking good when I was looking at charts earlier, but I hear you. Yeah, no, fair enough. It's just like something that I personally wouldn't entertain. I just don't like the probability element. I think the probability lacks. Are there any like questions or I don't know, topics that we want to speak about? I think what is everybody trading? Like, what is everybody trading? Drop it in the comment section. And I think naturally, so it comes down to the plan. And I mean, I'm extremely strict, and I haven't looked at any other pairs apart from what you see here on the watch list. I haven't traded anything outside of gold, GJ, GU, and EJ for like I don't know how many years. So I don't really feel the need to go and look elsewhere. But yeah, I just out of like curiosity, what are you all trading at the moment? The majors in gold, yeah, 100%. And the important thing is it's got to give somewhere along the line, right? Price won't sit in this consolidation indefinitely, right? So at some point it will break out, and that is when we will have those opportunities to trade. But until then, we kind of just need to wait it out. There's not much else we can do, to be fair. NASDAQ, all right. Oh, well, there you go, Matt. GJ is kind of like pushed into that level now. Yeah. Nick's waiting on the usual pairs to clear up. Yeah, listen, it's been challenging, I'm not gonna lie. And I think, as experienced as I am, and I've been doing this for almost a decade now, I'm feeling it. And I don't often feel it. I don't often get bugged by it, but I am. So I don't know, if that makes you feel a little bit better about yourself, let it be. But again, we don't move price, so we can't do anything about it. What pairs would I recommend a novice trader to trade? Listen, I mean, I wouldn't really go as far as that. I think you are overlooking it, and you sort of being hyper analytical. There is no right or wrong pair to trade, whether you're advanced, intermediate, beginner. Everything. You need to eliminate all of the external elements of, okay, this and that and this and that. All you need to do is look at it as, right, okay, every single pair, whether it be pound yen, whether it be pound dollar, whether it be gold, whether it be US 30 or NASDAQ, they all have candlesticks, they all have momentum, price moves. Yes, price might move faster on gold from time to time, and it might move more erratically on US 30 from time to time, but at the end of the day, it's exactly the same. You've just got to implement and execute your plan that you've got, and it doesn't really matter what pair it's on. I can then branch out into the section of, you need to, if you're a session trader, or you're an intraday trader, or intra-week trader, or a swing trader, that also kind of plays a role, right? So for me personally, because I'm a session trader or an intraday trader, I kind of need to trade the pairs that are a bit more volatile, right? So again, be it the majors, gold, pound yen, pound dollar, euro yen, and those are majors, which means they experience movement come session. And that's what I trade. Whereas if you're swing trading, you might want to trade something that moves slightly slower, or not as big, swings. So like USD JPY or Euro US dollar, or you get what I'm saying? I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think that's how you kind of need to look at it. The problem is Trump causing. Yeah. Listen, I mean, markets have been out of sorts since the beginning of the year with what's going on globally, but Jordan, was that sort of helpful? Did that kind of answer your question? Hey, you too. Please excuse the dogs playing. That's so true. I tend to overthink a lot in this field, but have realized I don't have a step-by-step way of getting into the market and executing. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Hey, Sophie, I'm busy. Yeah, listen, I think that's Jordan, just to kind of be blatant here. I think that's where the problem lies. You don't have a plan in place. You're falling short on a trading plan, and I think that's kind of the base of everything. So you need to dive into that, and you need to kind of figure that out. What I will do, I did briefly mention it this week, is I'm looking at hosting a forex like bootcamp next month sometime, where I kind of put it this way: if I were to start from scratch, and if I were to go back, what is it that I would need, right? So I will, structure it in a way of what would I need, what would I want if I were to start from scratch. And I think the reason for that is I've been getting a lot of individuals that have been asking me for guidance, assistance, but they're more so, beginners, intermediate, which I haven't really I don't have anything for, right? Because the focus course is a bit more advanced, you kind of need to know the basics and all the rest. So kind of, I want to bridge that gap. So yeah, that's, if that's, well, I think it will be extremely beneficial for everybody that is still struggling. And again, I don't think many people have done that, or I don't think anybody has done that in this space. So I think I will, launch that next month sometime. But I'll drop some more information in the Telegram group. I will drop some more information there. I would love to be part of that bootcamp. I've been in the industry for 5 years and feel like I just need a reset. I think an important place to start is also just assessing, who you follow, and again, you need to figure out what approach you want to follow. And if you want to go the route of following a mentor or whatever the case is, then you need to dial into one person in particular and unfollow everybody else. And I had this chat with the follower that stopped me on my morning walk yesterday. I told him the exact same thing. And I always use this example. Why does a horse run a race with blinkers on? To block out the noise and to stay in its lane, right? So it's the exact same thing with trading. Like, put your blinkers on and dial in and stay in your lane. Pick a lane and stay in the lane. And forget about what everybody else is doing on social media. Hey Philip, what's happening, brother? Still new to trading. Yeah, so then I think that bootcamp will be very, very beneficial to you. Very valuable. But again, I'll drop some more information on that probably next week sometime. I ended up deleting Instagram last week. I just follow your Telegram and wait for moments like these. Yeah. Well, what I'll do is I will start doing this more regularly. Try my very best to do this every day. But yeah, that's not a bad shout, that deleting Insta. So I'll kind of build everything up next week around the boot camp. And then like next week I'll kind of, onboard everybody and get everybody into the group, so that come like the first week of June, we can then start, because it will be live streams like this that will be hosted. I'll think, dependent on the amount of people that are part of the group, I can maybe even look at hosting an in-person session at the XNES offices in Cape Town. So yeah, I can like throw those in here and there, which I think will be great too. So yeah, but I think like next week I'll onboard everybody, and there's no cost involved here. I'll onboard everybody next week, and then we'll take it from there. Let's say conditions don't improve, and we're stuck like this for a year. Would that make... No, because I'm still, I have still been trading gold. I think I've made quite a big shift to like primarily trading gold lately, and that's kind of that's all right. Like, it's just very difficult. It's just very difficult to share setups on gold when I do trade gold, because I trade it impulsively. And I just don't have the time to relay that. So I'm fine. Like, I can adapt to these conditions. Again, like I've shifted a lot of focus to gold. So yeah. What if there was no setup for 6 months? That's all right. Like, I have more than enough money to sustain me through 6 months of no trading. And again, like, I think that's the important part of of this as well, like the reality and the real side of day trading. It's exactly like a business, right? Trading is a business. And what happens in business, you'll have your highs, you'll have your lows, you'll have your months that you are smashing records, and you'll have your months where things are extremely slow. So the months where you're smashing records, you need to kind of take a bit of that and make provision for the months that are slower, because that is just business. That is how the world works. Not every month is going to be like an exponentially or a month where you breaking records, right? It's the same as trading. I know for a fact that August is a lot slower than usual because of summer break. So I make provision for that, right? Yeah, there you go. So Karabel said that's why diversifying income streams is so important. Spot on, yeah. I just need to join the network and commit to it. I see you in the area on a daily basis, working security in your area, and man, you honestly just keep me going. I will definitely lock in. Yeah, I appreciate that. Jordan, it's like I tell everybody, there are a handful of us mentors that do things properly. So if you don't resonate with the way that I trade, then that's perfectly okay. It's not personal. But then go and find somebody you do resonate with, somebody that is legit and professional day trader, and then unfollow me, because then what I do shouldn't concern you or bother you. An in-person in Johannesburg, yeah, I can see what I can do. I'll have a chat with the guys and see what we can organize. Maybe think of hosting some of the calls in the evenings. Yeah, Jaden, it will more than likely all be in the evening, but if not, and it is during the day, then it will be recorded for you to watch in your own time. What separates gold from other pairs you look at? Do you think it's less prone to Trump tweets or Iran tweets? Do you feel like it's safer? No, not really. I think, the only thing that really separates gold is just the volatility that gold experiences. And, an hourly candle can move like 1,000, well, okay, let's not over exaggerate, but an hourly candle let's say this, for example, you can move like a good 2, 3, 4, 500 pips within a matter of minutes. And I mean, if you, that's all you really need, right? So I think it's just the volatility that gold has and the movement gold sees. It's just, it is a lot easier to trade impulsively than it is with GJ, GU, EJ. But I will always trade GJ, GU, EJ, right? It's just at the moment, my focus has shifted more towards gold because we're seeing better movement. But yeah. Start a series, Life Advice by Tyron. We need some tips on emergency funds, spending money, saving, etc. Listen, I don't know if I'm the right person to. I've got deep pockets and short arms. I'm not your typical day trader, right? Somebody needs to teach me how to spend, to be fair. It's one thing I don't really know how to do too well, is spend. I definitely enjoy your style of trading. The structure you have is something I need. I want to be able to be certain of when to get in and when not. But again, that comes with a structured plan, and a trading plan. it's like just such a strange time um, at the moment. How do I manage big drawdown? What do you mean? Like risk management? Risk management is the core. It's like the base of everything. So you shouldn't really have big drawdown. How do you deal with so much free time on your hands? Yeah, I think I still need to. I did like say this a while back, but I need to actually maybe make a YouTube video on it. But it's tough, eh? Like to be completely open and transparent. It's very very difficult, and it kind of you know at times sends you into like dark places, because like I'm a very social person, and to be on my own all day every day is very like challenging. It like gets to you. So I have my weeks where I go into those dark places, and I think I'm human, right? But it is very difficult. I haven't really found a way to deal with all the free time, to be fair. But I think now, obviously, being in Team Pro, it's helped a lot, because there's quite a bit of work that goes into the back end. So yeah, it's the one side of this like reality, the one element of this reality that like I'm still trying to figure out. It sounds bizarre. DIY stuff, yeah. Do you think you'll ever get a job part? No. Are you nuts? Are you nuts? No ways. There's no ways I'll be be able to answer to somebody and like have somebody tell me what to do. No, I will not be able to work, or go into have a part-time job. I've been following you for about 4 years. This was even when I was working a 9 to 5. I've seen a change in my approach and maturity as a trader. Yeah, that's beautiful to hear. That's beautiful to hear. But again, Karabo, like big ups to you, mate, because sorry, I lost my train of thought. But big ups to you, because you are one name, one person that always shows up. I don't think you've ever missed a live stream. I don't think like when you were in the network and the community, I don't think you ever like missed a day showing up. So again, it comes down to like what you put in. Did you hear about? No, I haven't, to be honest. I haven't really looked into that. Is the audio like super super like echoey? Is it like bad? Is it like bad? Yeah, I'll like make it a priority to sort out I just need to start filling this office really. Like the simplicity of it is just like, explain my approach. My approach is pretty much momentum trading, market structure and price action. That's pretty much what I trade. Session volume. For real, thank you, Ty. Thank you for taking the time to share your knowledge and experience. I also think it comes from the desire to keep learning. Yeah, 100%. But even me, right? I think the day that you say you've mastered it is the day you fail. Like that's where you start downward spiraling. Because even me, like 10 years deep, I still learn things. I still learn things and continuously learn things. You know, so learning never ends, and there's always room to refine, to improve. And I think, you get to a point, which I think is quite important. You get to a point in trading where you can't refine your approach anymore. So I'm at that point where I cannot refine my approach anymore. It's the most refined it'll get. So now, in terms of, although it might seem like, okay, well, the work is done now, there's still work on the other elements, right? So psychology, mental state, those external elements outside, and what you do and how you are off the charts, because again, that affects how you are on the charts. So there's always work and there's always room for improvement there, right? If that makes any sense. But hey, Dave, you're a name I haven't seen for a while. How are things going? How are things going? Is anybody looking at anything? Or like, what else can we speak about? How do I deal with drawdown? I stick to the plan and I let probability play out over time. Um, you're still on euro dollar. You're still on euro dollar. I'll have a look at that in a minute. Came for some New York entertainment. Futures are slow this week, but this have been. Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, it seems like futures is the new trend at the moment. Let's have a look at euro dollar. What do you like? Um, price action, but price action remains the same across all asset classes, though. So maybe like the movement is or has been slightly better, but there's no real difference from from a price action or movement or what we have as retail traders, because for futures again all we really have as retail traders is like what we see here in front of us. But you see, I think, and I've got nothing against futures trading, but I think this is like the problem, and this is the rabbit hole that so many people go down. So a market, every market, any market and every market goes or has its peaks, its troughs, and market cycles, right? So whether it's bonds, whether it's equities, whether it's currencies, forex, whether it's futures, they all have market cycles. And now, for example, forex currencies haven't been all too great lately. So now people think, oh well, futures is a trend. Futures seem to be moving a bit better, but futures is currently in that market cycle, whereas currencies, forex, is in this market cycle. And when the roles reverse, right? When roles reverse, people are going to then be like, oh damn, I need to go back to forex or back to currencies. And so you just keep jumping back and forth. And that's like, it's a very vicious cycle. So, again, like a lot of people have asked me, why don't you trade indices? Why don't you trade futures? Why don't you do? It's because I've got a system that works, and it's been working for like the past however many years. So I don't see any reason to change that. You know. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Interesting. No, no. So it's as long as there's a range. So for example, like basically what you've just asked now is effectively then like gold is pretty much consolidating on the daily, right? So that would be our daily consolidation range. So now your question here is, do I consider looking for trades if price is consider consolidating on the daily, or only based if there's trend with previously candles pushing in a strong direction? So here, like gold is currently consolidating on the daily, but I would still entertain potential sells here, because if we move to the 4 hour, we have a clear sort of zone that we need to get below, so that we can refine on the lower time frames. But again, although we are consolidating on the daily, right, we still got that higher time frame directional bias, which was covered at the beginning of this webinar. Exactly. You can make money trading any asset. Futures works for me. Forex works for Ty. Without the fundamentals I learned in the network, I wouldn't be here. It gave me the base. Yeah, 100%. And again, Dave, like I said, and I absolutely love that you've said that, because again, in my discussion with that guy that stopped me yesterday, I said that trading is very personalized, and you've now just said that in so many words, where futures works for you, and that's that personalized aspect that you've now brought into it, on the and built onto the base that I gave you, or that the focused course and network gave you. I think, which is very, 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 very important. But yeah, irrespective of market, all markets have three things in common. They've got candlesticks, they've got a price which changes every second, and we've got market structure and momentum. So those are the only requirements, the only things that you need in order to trade, right? So are futures traded the same way? Yeah, pretty much. I think where like futures, you can start, like I think people start verging into like the like order flows and this and that, and like there's nothing wrong with that. But for me personally, because I've been on the institutional side of things, like as a retail trader, whether you're trading futures, whether you're trading forex, whether you're trading crypto, as a retail trader, you've only got access to so much, right? You do not have access to institutional feeds and institutional graded information, right? And I think like that is what I find bizarre about all these individuals in the space, retail traders that push all these fancy things. Meanwhile, like as a retail trader, you only have access to so much. Futures trades, like, to sound fancy with terminology, you only 100%. So it's effectively the same thing as forex. It's just a different market, really. It's just different markets. It's like indices, cryptos, equities, bonds. I think like the easiest thing, and like for all of those that are still like struggling, the easiest thing and the best thing you can ever do is like look at things and look at this in the simplest way possible, right? Without complicating things. Quick question, with the approach, is it possible or advisable to trade Bitcoin intraday, or should it strictly from a long-term perspective? No, I mean, you can intraday trade crypto. I mean, I personally don't know how the crypto moves from an intraday perspective, because I've never like traded crypto, but I'm pretty sure you can intraday trade it, much like you do on, gold, GJ, GU. Pretty sure you can. Yeah, I do still trade pound pairs, yes. Nothing's changed. V1, yeah. That's great. It's just so like bizarre. There you see, Matt, are you still here? Matt, are you still here on stream? Yeah, I think like that's when we were speaking about GJ buys earlier, that was my exact concern. That was my exact concern. It's just buying into that resistance. Don't have a huge range to work with. So the probability of that setup was just not as high as what I would have liked it to be. And like we're now starting to see that rejection of that zone that I spoke of. Again, like if we go to the daily quickly, there you'll see it there, right? So again, buying into that, very important. And I think this is a testament to how important it is for multi-time frame analysis to understand how these time frames tie into one another, and that every time frame tells us a different story. For those that have like just joined in, see that we have a few more viewers. Are any of you going to FMIS? Will any of you be at FMIS? So if we are to look at gold quickly, just quickly run through this top-down analysis, right? Effectively, we are, yeah, Dave, tell me about it. But nonetheless, looking at gold, we are higher time frame bearish, right? So with that, directional bias is bearish. If we are to quickly simplify things, I did drop an analysis at the beginning of the week in terms of, again, directional bias bearish. We're looking at continuation to the downside. Then it comes down to identifying our critical zone. Our critical zone was identified as that area there. Massive daily candle broke, engulf, so that kind of serves as the confirmation. So this is kind of the analysis that was shared at the beginning of the week, right? I did not sell based on the daily, but it still holds. And the reason it still holds is because price is respecting that level there. Now, with that being said, if we drop down to the lower time frames, you'll see, okay, we do have quite a bit of consolidation that's happening here at the moment. But you see that price is rejecting and continuously rejecting lower prices, which tells us that sellers are still in control, So it then comes down to a simple thing of this being our key area that we need to see price get below, and then a simple thing of break, retest down into equal lows where we could potentially see a double bottom occur, right? And if that double bottom does occur, it's then one of two things. We either break below to continue, or we reject, and that's where potential trend reversal might surface come next week. Then if we are to drop to the hourly quickly, you'll see again quite horrific consolidation, but nonetheless we are respecting that level on the daily, like I said. So in terms of refining our areas, that would be the refined area. Then looking at this consolidation, we can kind of would be slightly more aggressive, but looking at this region over here, given the fact that price is, just give me a second here. Where am I? I've lost my, just looking for a little, I lost the plot here or what? Okay, well anyway, it doesn't really matter, but effectively I'll just use the zone, but we, like I said, that's the level that we're respecting, we're failing to get above. So what I would like to see is price break, retest to continue, and that could then, potentially be the play for today during session, a bit more aggressive, but all in line in terms of, the higher time frame confluence and all the rest. So if the hourly kind of in the next 5 minutes can kind of close somewhere where it is now, almost looking at something like that. But again, it would just make sense. It would just make sense to wait on the new hourly to pull back, retest, to flip. Once it flips and breaks the support, the minor support, we can then look at an impulsive entry down to fill that range into equal lows. Glad to see you still killing it, Ty. Appreciate it. Really do appreciate it. And yeah, let me know if you ever down in Cape Town. It'll be lekker to kind of go for a coffee or whatever the case is. I cannot believe gold has literally been sitting in this range since this morning. That is absolutely unheard of. I mean, through London, through New York Open, it's unheard of. But nonetheless. Has this, for all of those that are still here, has this kind of, been beneficial? Has it been valuable and helpful? I mean, I personally think it has. We'll be down in August for a wedding. Oh, sweet. Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, this is insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah, I will definitely, starting next week, I'll see and try my very best to like do this every day. Um, Kind of like go on a rampage of like live streams. And it's just been like markets haven't been too great over the past like couple of weeks, so I've kind of just been like taking it easy, chilling. So yeah, but yeah, next week we'll get back into like the hardcore. Well, we should now should send it. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much that. I mean, we've been here for an hour, 10 minutes now. It's 4 o'clock on a Friday. I'm pretty sure most of you are like wrapping up your day, starting to make your way home. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to wrap this up. And yeah, I think it's been a good one, a lot of value here. And what I'll do is I will see you all next week. I will hop onto a stream probably, I don't know about Monday, but from Tuesday. But yeah, otherwise, guys, have an incredible day. Enjoy the rest of the day. Have a banging weekend, and we'll get back to it next week. Hopefully, we see some proper movement next week. But yeah, I think that's it from my side. Appreciate you all. Appreciate the time that you took to join in this afternoon. Stay safe. Have a blessed weekend, and I will check you all next week. All right. Cheers, guys.